Were you not quite ready for educating your child at home? Thrust into this a bit too quickly? Feeling overwhelmed? Not to worry, we've got you covered. Hello, I'm Samantha from Learning Success, and welcome to Educating at Home, an initiative by Learning Success to help you become the expert educator for your child. It may not feel like it, but research shows that parents can truly be the best educators. We'll be creating new videos every day to make sure you have the knowledge you need to rock this. Make sure to watch them all, and your child is sure to have the best education possible. Today's video is from Wanda Kay. Wanda Kay Knight was raised in Kansas, spent years wandering from state to state, until finally settling in the Pacific Northwest. In addition to the middle grade allegorical fantasy trilogy, The Peacock Door, The Emerald Key, and The Lantern Tree, Knight has also written the Courageous Kids series, Bella's Bubbles and Butterflies, and 8 full-length holiday plays. She continues to live in the Pacific Northwest, loves spending time with her very adventurous and competitive family, creates things out of yarn like unique hats and such, collects rocks and gemstones, and continues writing. Let's see what Wanda has to say about educating at home.
Hi there. Well, if you're watching this, it's probably because you're in the position of both being in quarantine and having to teach your kids from home. And everything is feeling a little bit topsy-turvy. You try all this time to keep kids off the screens, and now everything that they learn is on screen. They're not happy because, at least in the classroom, there's the distraction of friends, and instead now you're having to teach them. So at any rate, and nobody knows what day it is anyway. We all have to look at the calendar on the computer just to figure out if it's a Monday or a Friday. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I've taught in the classroom and I've taught online. And while you might be concerned that they're going to be losing out on some stuff that they would have learned in the classroom because there's no teacher there to give them the lessons, I want to tell you that you can teach them things that those teachers don't have a lot of time to do sometimes when they're, teaching 30 kids in one classroom. And you can make this kind of learning a lot of fun and actually help with their critical thinking. An example that I would suggest is something like math. Let's say they're learning fractions. Let's talk about the younger kids. They're learning fractions. And you're sitting there and you're trying to teach them what to do with the pie chart. Well, you know what? You're at home and you're bored and the worksheet gets done too quick. So why not do something like take them into the kitchen and bake a pie? And when you're done, divide it up into its sections, its fractions, and eat the pie. I mean, these kind of things give them practical learning that's a little more fun. They might actually like it. Fractions, you take them into the kitchen and bake a cake. They could be responsible for the third of a cup of this and the half a cup of that. And again, they're learning those fractions, and when they're done, they get to have some cake. It makes it a little more fun, I've always found that kind of learning was something that teachers a lot of times don't have time to get to, and the practical learning is actually very helpful, you know what I mean, for literature and reading. And I'm saying this even talking about high schoolers, because that's what I taught, was middle school and high school. Instead of struggling with it all, get yourself a cup of tea, sit on the couch, and just read together. You read to your kid and let your kid read to you. But what's important when you do that? Because some people think that that's the lazy way, and it's not lazy at all. What's important is that when you come to something that, a little something that the author put in there and you don't understand why. Like, why did they decide to talk about a chipped bowl or something? Stop and figure out why the author would take the time to actually incorporate those details. And in the process of doing that, it really helps your student start to associate the critical thinking that goes into some of that literature sometimes. It helps to expand them. I've always been surprised at how just simply reading and stopping and digging in to details makes a difference. It really helps. There's an activity that I used to do with my high schoolers that they really loved, and it helped. And that is, I would go over to the computer and I would put on music, just clips, just different songs, classical, country, from the 40s, modern, whatever, lots of variety. And while listening to that song or that clip, they would be asked to pick out 3 words that describe that type of music. And no, they can't say, oh, it's fun, or it's peppy, or this or that. They needed to describe it in a way that if somebody was reading their story and did not know the name of the song, the reader would know what type of song that was and how it affected the mood, what it was about. And you can do the same thing with people. Take people that all of you know and love, grandmas, grandpas, aunts, uncles, neighbors next door, and find 3 words that describe them very concisely. And no, they don't get to use they're nice or they're good looking. They need to find words that really define that purpose and keep going and digging until it's exactly right. There's a difference between being pretty and cute. There's a difference between being magnificent and exquisite. There's a difference between kind and helpful. There's a difference between being quirky and weird. And so in the process of digging down, I found that students learn to really enrich their writing because they got used to that. And so all I can say is that while you're at home and while everybody's in quarantine, while they have to do the worksheets and the lessons, that they get from their teachers, and those are important, you can add some of that critical thinking that's a little harder to get into the classroom, because after all, we need the critical thinking as well as the learning, and the both of them build on each other. And besides, sometimes the critical thinking lessons are a little more fun. So anyway, thanks for listening. I hope this ends up wonderful for you. Have a great day.
Thank you, Wanda. Indeed, it is so different for kids. Everyone has to adapt to a lot of different things right now. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to share it on social media. Use the hashtag EAH for Educating at Home. And remember, you've got this. The fact that you are here watching this video means you're an amazing parent. And that's a wonderful thing to be.